Awesome. All right. Thank you for joining me for a Yin Yoga class. My name is Holly. My pronouns are she, her. This is a floor-based, very slow-paced yoga class. You will want a yoga mat or carpeted area, and you might want a pillow or blanket nearby, but you don't need any fancy yoga props. And again, this class is all floor-based, so we're just going to hang out and relax. The first Tuesday of every month, I also offer 15 minutes of optional journaling and reflection after class. So if you'd like to stay for that, you are welcome to do so. We're going to find ourselves in a comfortable seated position. You can sit crisscross applesauce or in Tsukasana easy pose. You can have your hands on your thighs, start to feel your hands on your legs. Maybe you rock right and left, back and forth, feel your sit bones on the floor. You can roll your shoulders forward a few times and backward a few times, and then just drop your shoulders, lift your chest, sit up nice and tall. We'll just start by taking a few slow breaths. Inhale. And slowly exhale. You can exhale through the nose or the mouth. So we're just starting to slow down our breath at the beginning of class. Breathe in. And slowly breathe out. And as you're breathing, really start to feel your body touching the floor. Notice how tall you're sitting. Feel your chest rise and fall with the inhale and exhale. Throughout class, I invite you to listen to your body. Remember that you are your greatest teacher. I will try to offer different variations and modifications of every posture and breathing exercise. But if at any point something I'm saying or suggesting does not work for you, remember that you can modify what I'm suggesting. You can do your own thing. You can just take some time to breathe and lay or sit still, right? This is really time that you've carved out for yourself. And a lot of a yoga practice is really starting to listen to our body, trust our body, and set healthy boundaries, right? Again, if something doesn't feel right for you, you're always welcome to skip it. As I promised in my newsletter, we're going to start with a fun breathing exercise today called Brahmari Pranayama or Bumblebee Breath. And we're going to make like a bee noise with bee vibration with our exhale breath. Brahmari Pranayama is actually supposed to be really good for depression and anxiety, and it actually creates like a vibration in your brain when you're doing it. It's similar to the Om sound, but your mouth is going to be closed, and I'll walk us through it. But like many different breathing exercises that are ancient and rooted in yoga, this one there's actually like cool studies coming out now about the psychological effects of this breathing exercise. And again, you get to breathe like a bumblebee, which is kind of cute. So I'll talk us through it and then we'll practice together. So for Brahmari breathing, you're going to seal your lips and place your tongue at the roof of your mouth, just behind your teeth, your palate. And again, the idea is you're going to make kind of an Om shape or an Om sound, but without opening your mouth. So it'll sound like this. So you're creating that vibration both in your chest, in your throat, and in your head, which, as I talked about in last week's class, stimulates the vagus nerve and helps to bring us into a parasympathetic nervous system response, calming the body. So that's the Brahmari Bumblebee breathing, what it sounds like. And then there's also different mudras or hand gestures that you can do to kind of enhance that vibration in your body. So I'll give you a couple options. The first option with your hands is simply to very gently close your ears a little bit. You're not like actively pushing in, but you're just going to close your ears. That's option one. Option two is to keep your ears closed and then place your index fingers just above your brows, and then your second, third, fourth, and pinky fingers on your eyes. And again, you're not pushing into your eyeballs. You're just like very lightly having your fingers on your eyes. This is option three or option two. And then the third option, which is a more traditional hand gesture in Brahmari breath, is to place your index fingers on your eyes. Again, very lightly on the eyelids. You're not pushing down. You're going to place your middle fingers on your nose, so the nose is gently constricted. Again, you're not forcing. And then you place your little finger and fourth finger on either side of your lips so that your lips close. And it looks kind of silly and it's kind of fun, but again, we're just experiencing this vibration in our body through the breath. So again, you can simply close your ears. You can close ears and eyes, or you can use index fingers on eyelids, middle fingers on nose, and then fourth and little fingers over the lips. You're going to inhale through your nose, mouth closed, tongue at the palate, at the roof of the mouth behind the teeth, and begin making that Om sound with your breath. Sitting up nice and tall, shoulders down, chin parallel. We'll try this a few more times. Let's do 3 more Bumblebee breaths. Making the exhale as long as possible. Whenever you're ready, there's no rush. You can return your hands down to your knees. Maybe just take a few more breaths here with your eyes closed, observing how that felt in your body. Again, that's Brahmari pranayama or bumblebee breath. Good for depression and anxiety. It's a really ancient 1,000 plus 2,000-year-old breathing technique. And in the last 10 years, there's been more studies on that pranayama and other pranayama and their effects on things like our brain waves and our heart rate and our mood, right? So we're using modern science to kind of prove ancient practices, which I think is beautiful. Your eyes are closed. You can open your eyes, roll your shoulders forward a few times, backward a few times. I'm just going to invite you here to take a moment or a minute to move your body in any way that feels good. So this is a freestyle component, anything that feels good to your body, right? This is an opportunity, just kind of move. And part of what we're doing here is remembering that we know what we need, right? We know what our body needs. And throughout this class, we're honoring that, right? We're not forcing the body. My posture does not need to look the same as your posture, right? And that's okay. Okay, beautiful. As you're ready, we're going to make our way onto our backs. We're just going to lie down here. Can have your arms and legs long, head on the floor. And the floor is a really powerful practice in yoga, or a really powerful tool, I should say. You know, usually it's like we're sitting in a chair or standing or on a couch or a bed, right? There's something that can be actually quite therapeutic about lying on a hard, flat surface because it allows our spine to stretch out and lengthen even more. So just by, you know, lying down here, right, you might notice that your shoulders start to relax. or your spine starts to decompress a little bit. It might also be easier to observe your breath here. As you inhale, feel your body rise. And as you exhale, let your body fall. So with Yin Yoga, we will do long holds of gentle, subtle postures. So we're going to hold our asanas or postures for, 3, 5, maybe even 6 minutes. The 3 kind of simple rules of Yin Yoga are you make a shape with your body, you hold a shape, and you breathe, usually through your nose. And at some points, being still or holding a posture for a while can start to feel uncomfortable. And it's okay to feel a little bit uncomfortable. But if you're in pain or you're like gritting your teeth or you can't breathe in an asana, right, that's an invitation to adjust what you're doing or take a break or make a different shape. So again, in general, we're going to hold still in these postures, but from time to time, if you need to adjust, you're welcome to do so. Just observe the difference maybe between occasionally, switching up what you're doing to get more comfortable versus constantly moving and fidgeting, because it can be a little uncomfortable to hold still and breathe. I am not naturally good at stillness, which is why I practice yoga, right? This is a practice. So our first asana of the day is Bananasana or banana pose. And we're going to make a banana shape with our body. So bring your feet close together, arms overhead. And if you'd like, you can take a moment, stretch up and down, maybe flex your toes back like you're having a nice yawn. And then you'll start to walk your hands and feet to the right side of your yoga space, so that from a bird's eye view, your body makes a C shape or a banana shape. And there's a couple options within here. You can cross your left ankle over your right ankle for an IT band stretch. You can also cross your left hand over your right hand for a little bit more of a left shoulder stretch. If your lower back is way off the floor, right, you might place a small blanket or pillow under your lumbar lower spine. You can keep the back of your head on the floor, or you can look over your right shoulder, bringing the right ear down towards the floor. If having the arms overhead does not feel good to your body, you can bend your elbows and catch opposite elbow and opposite hand, or you can even have one or both arms down by your side so that your spine is still moving or opening, but the shoulders get a little bit of a break. The more you bring your hands and feet to the right side of the room, the deeper you'll feel the stretch on the left side body and compression on the right side body. And the closer you bring your hands and feet to the center line of your body, the more gentle and subtle it becomes. We are going to hold this posture for 5 minutes. We're already a minute in. In yoga classes where you hold postures for 30 seconds to a minute, you'll often hear teachers, encouraging folks to go to their deepest point. In Yin Yoga, because we're holding postures for longer, you want to do about like 70% of what you think you should be doing. And if you are, like kind of a go-getter or type A or tend to judge yourself harshly, maybe do like 60% of what you think you should be doing. So there's the physical benefit of Yin Yoga, right? Is that when we hold postures for this long, we're not just working into muscles and joints, we really work into connective tissue, into tendons and ligaments. But the mental, emotional, spiritual, psychological, right, benefits of Yin Yoga are that we're slowing down and we're doing less, right? We're pushing back on a culture that says like you have to push yourself to your deepest point. This is not a yoga class where we're going to contort ourselves into cute little pretzels. This is a yoga class where we're making like subtle banana shapes with our body, right? We're breathing like a bumblebee. We're doing like gentle back bends or forward folds, right? I think there's real beauty in subtlety. And sometimes in yoga, we so idolize, somebody doing a handstand with their feet on their head that we forget the subtlety of, simply bringing your hands and feet a little bit to the right so that you stretch the left side body and wake up the spine, right? A little bit goes a long way. We have about 2.5 minutes left here. If you need to switch up what you're doing, you're welcome to do so. Otherwise, we'll just give us some time to hold and breathe. Notice where you might be holding on to some tension in your body. And rather than forcing or fighting with the posture, see if you can just relax into the posture. Sink into your breath. Melt into your mat. Let the floor hold you up. In the final 30 seconds, you are welcome to stay just as you are, knowing that we're almost to the end. Or if you'd like a little bit of a deeper stretch at the end, you can walk your hands and feet a little bit more to the right side of the room. You can inhale. And a slow exhale, it can be through the nose or the mouth. When we hold postures for long periods of time, we want to take care in coming out of them because our body's kind of molded to this shape. So we'll go slow. If your head is rolled to the right, you can roll your head back so that the back of your head is on the floor. If your elbows are bent, right, you can straighten your arms. If your hands are crossed, you can uncross your hands. If your left ankle is crossed over your right ankle, you can slowly uncross ankles. And then at your own pace, walk your hands and feet back to the center of your mat space. Can take a moment here to do any little counter stretch that feels good. Again, maybe flexing your toes back, stretching up and down. Then as you're ready, you can take your arms and legs down by your side, back into this neutral spine position. Yin yoga is a little quirky, and one of my favorite quirks of it is some of the names for asanas or postures are different than in other styles of yoga. So in other styles of yoga, what we're doing here is called Savasana or corpse pose or dead body pose, because you're acting like a dead body, right? But that can be a little macabre. And so in Yin yoga, this is called Puddle Pose, like Puddle, like a rain puddle, and you can just act like a puddle of water here. You can open your arms and legs as much or as little as you'd like. If having your legs straight on the floor does not feel good to your lower back, that's really normal. You can bend your knees so that your feet are on the floor and your knees rest together, right? And that'll take pressure off of the lower back. You can also always grab a small blanket or pillow and put it under your lower back, under your knees, or under your head if that feels good to you. Take a few more slow breaths here. All right. Let's do the other side of our banana pose. Bring your feet close together, arms overhead. Again, you can stretch up and down if that feels good. And then start to walk your hands and your feet to the left side of your yoga space. Now, for the sake of symmetry, if you crossed your left ankle over your right ankle on the other side, you might try crossing your right ankle over your left ankle here, right? Or if your elbows were bent on the other side, or you rolled your ear down towards the floor, right? You can do the same thing here. However, we're not symmetrical, right? So this side might necessitate a different shape of your body, right? This side, you might find that feels good to go a little deeper, or that moving your body like an inch to the left is enough of a stretch, right? Because we're holding here for 5 minutes. So again, you're just going to find a shape that feels good to your body. You can cross right ankle over left ankle. You can cross right hand over left hand. You can bend elbows and catch opposite elbow and opposite hand. You can have one or both arms down by your side. You can keep the back of your head on the floor, or you can roll your left ear down towards the floor for a little bit of a side neck stretch. Again, this is your body. This is your yoga practice. And our postures do not need to look exactly the same. In fact, they probably shouldn't, right? Because we're all, coming from different backgrounds, we're different ages, different shapes, we have different injuries or body proportions, right? So making a shape that feels pleasant to your body in this moment. And then we'll just hold and breathe. Keep it simple. Notice where you might be contracting muscles or holding on to tension. Just very gently, subtly start to relax the legs, the arms a little bit more. Let your abdomen be heavy. And so we're relaxing into postures. In some styles of yoga, right? In some postures, even in Yin Yoga, we do contract muscles, but here, like, we're really relaxing the muscles in the body. With about 30 seconds left in this posture, you are welcome to stay just as you are. Or if you'd like, you can walk your hands and feet a little bit closer to the left side room, deepening the stretch at the end. A slow inhale. This intentionally slow exhale can be through the nose or the mouth. We'll start to very slowly and cautiously come out of the posture. So if your head is rolled to the left, you can bring the back of your head back to the floor. If your elbows are bent, you can straighten your arms. If your hands are crossed, you can uncross hands. Uncross right ankle. Slowly walk your hands and feet back to center. Again, doing any little stretches here that feel good to your body. Little counter stretches. I'm going to windshield wiper my legs back and forth. Do what feels good to you. And then we're going to make our way back into our puddle pose. Again, you can open your arms and legs as much or as little as you'd like. You can have your knees bent with your feet on the floor. Or you can have your arms and legs long. So when we hold postures for long periods of time, we want to take some time in a neutral position, right? So that our body can kind of reset and realign. So that's what we're doing here, just showing a little bit of stillness as you breathe. All right, bend your knees if they're not already, feet on the floor. You can take a moment and lift your feet off the floor, maybe place your hands on your knees or your shins. You can roll right and left or give yourself a nice hug. And then at your own pace, you're going to roll off to one side, no rush. And slowly press yourself up into a seated position. Great. Okay. So you're going to sit on your butt with your feet facing forward, legs long. Next, we're going to practice a shoelace. It's called shoelace pose in Yin Yoga with an eagle arm variation. And I'll explain all of that. Okay, look at your arms and legs, identify which is left, which is right. Keep that in mind. Keep your left leg straight, and you're going to cross your right knee on top of your left knee. This is option one. It's sometimes called half shoelace, which is kind of a funny thing to think about. You can keep your bottom leg straight here, and this is actually a great way to stretch out the hamstring and calf. Or you can try bending your bottom leg so that knees stack one on top of the other. And at first that might look like this, right? And that's okay. Eventually hips are going to come down. If it helps to have a small pillow or blanket underneath your butt or in between your knees, you're welcome to do so. I'm just going to demo what that might look like, right? Or even like this, just so that the knee has somewhere to rest, or placing a pillow under one or both of your glutes if that helps your sit bones sit down. Great. Okay. From here, you're going to take your arms out to the side in a big expansive gesture. I love yoga. How much? This much. Okay. And then if your right knee is on top of your left knee, you're going to give yourself a hug with your left elbow underneath your right elbow. You can take a moment here and actually really give yourself a hug like you're hugging a dear friend. A fun fact about the human body is hugs release serotonin, a happy hormone that makes us feel good. And the other fun fact about the human body is our body does not know the difference between someone else hugging us and us hugging ourselves. So giving yourself a squeeze here is a nice way to release serotonin in the body. You have an option to stay here, giving yourself a hug, or you can try eagle arms in which you bring the palms together, thumbs towards your face, pinkies away from your face. And that might also look like this, grabbing a thumb or clasping hands together or interlacing fingers. Great. From here, so now we're really starting to open into the hips, the knees, the shoulders, and maybe even the elbows and wrists. From here, you have an option to stay light and lifted, or if you'd like, we're going to fold forward, take an inhale, stretch up, and then exhale, fold. Now, depending on your body proportions and mobility, your elbows might come to your knee, your elbows might come over your knees, right? I have a long torso, so it's easy for me to bring elbows over knees, but if you have like a shorter torso, right, it might look more like this, and that's okay too. If your bottom leg is straight, when you're folding forward, you get a nice stretch to the hamstring and calf. If your bottom leg is bent like mine is, you might feel more of a side stretch in the right side seat. We're going to hold here for a total of 3 minutes. We're already a minute in. Couple options for the spine. You can kind of let the spine round and let your head hang heavy, or you might keep your chin lifted and almost think about sticking your butt out a little bit so that your lower back flattens out a little bit. These are both good options. And once again, just notice where you might be holding on to tension in your body. See if you can soften and relax, even if that means you take a little bit of a different shape with your body, right? That's okay. With about a minute left, right, you might be experiencing new sensations, both in your physical body or even in your mind or your spirit. As a reminder, it's okay to feel a little uncomfortable in a yoga practice, right? But if something hurts or doesn't feel good, right, that's just an invitation to maybe switch up what you're doing. Otherwise, just holding and breathing. About 30 seconds left. You can stay just as you are, or maybe fold forward a little bit more, or if you're sitting up tall, stretch up a little bit more so that your spine starts to stretch more. Take an inhale. Anything you'd like to let go of, let it go through the exhale breath. If you're folded forward and your spine is rounding, like your head is dropped, start by lifting your chin and chest, look forward a little bit, engage your core and lift yourself up. Good. If your hands are in prayer in an eagle arm, start by giving yourself a hug again. You can even kind of massage out your shoulders here if that feels good. Feels good for me. Great. And then from here, you're going to open your arms once again. Big expansive gesture. Good. Float your arms down. If your bottom leg is bent, you can straighten your bottom leg. If your top leg is bent, you can straighten your top leg. And then you're going to place your hands behind you. I'm going to show you from the side. Place your hands behind you, fingers pointing towards you. Bend your knees, feet on the floor. We're going to windshield wiper our knees right and left, back and forth. Great. And then walk your hands in, sit up tall. And we're going to go into the other side of shoelace pose. So we'll do the other side. So let's see, if your right knee was crossed this time, you're going to cross your left knee over your right knee. And again, this side might look or feel different, and that's okay. But for the sake of symmetry, right, if your bottom leg was bent on the other side, you might want to do that here as well, only if it's accessible. Great. From here, you're going to take your arms out to the side. And this time, cross your right elbow under your left elbow. Right elbow under left elbow. Again, you might take a moment here to massage your shoulders or give yourself a little hug. Option to continue to place your palms on your shoulders, or you can try the eagle arms on this side, thumbs towards you, and pinkies away from you. And again, this side might look or feel different. It does for me. That's okay. Option to sit up nice and tall. Think about stretching the crown of your head up as you drop your tailbone down, or you can start to fold forward. Inhale, lengthen up. Exhale, fold. Beautiful. And we'll just make a shape with our body that feels good or interesting, right? And then we're just going to hold and breathe. And keep your chin away from your chest, or let your head drop. If you have a history of slip discs or lower back pain, right, letting the spine round here might start to feel like too much on the lower back. So if it does not feel good to the lower back, right, you might fold forward with a flat back or come up to a spine neutral long spine position. Observe if you're forcing your body in any way. Find a shape where you can relax into the posture. Also observe if you find resistance to, just doing a little bit in yoga, right? A little bit goes a long way. Less is more. This is a subtle yoga practice, or at least it can be. And again, because we're holding postures for long periods of time, you will most certainly feel stretched out after class, even if you're doing a little bit less than in a class where you hold postures for, short periods of time. We'll hold here for 1 more minute. In the final 30 seconds, you can stay just as you are, or maybe folding a little bit more. Inhale, feel your ribs expand. Slowly exhale. Feel the ribs contract. If you've dropped your head, start by lifting your nose and chin. Scoop your chest forward, engage your abdominal wall, and lift yourself up. Hands are in prayer, uncross. Reach again for your shoulders. Give yourself a hug for practicing yoga today. What a gift to give yourself. From here, you can take your arms out to the side, down by your side. Bottom leg is bent, straighten bottom leg. Uncross top leg. Then we're going to turn and make our way back onto our backs, back into Puddle Pose. making any any sort of puddle shape that feels good for you. Let your head be heavy on the floor. You can maybe tuck your chin in ever so slightly so that your neck gets a little longer. Keep your shoulders out of your ears. Let your feet be heavy. Hands heavy. But the breath stays light. Often when I teach Yin Yoga, the back bend that I offer is called Sphinx Pose, and it's an abdominal wall back bend. But today I'm actually going to offer a different back bend called Camel Pose that some of you practice in 26 and 2 yoga. And believe it or not, this is a Yin Yoga posture, and we can try it here. So you're going to bend your knees if they're not already, feet on the floor. Can lift your feet off the floor again. Maybe place your hands on your shins for a moment, roll right and left, back and forth, rolling out the spine. Give yourself a hug. And then you're going to roll off to one side, maybe the side that you haven't rolled off to yet. Put your hands on the floor and gently press yourself up. Okay. Camel Pose, Tsukasana. You're going to come to stand on your knees and feet about hip width distance. And if you'd like, you can roll up your yoga mat so that there's extra padding under your knees and or extra padding under your toes and ankles. You can also place a pillow or blanket under any of these joints. So already with the hips over the knees standing up, we're starting to open through the hip flexors, the chest, the abdomen. And we're going to take this real slow because we're going to be here for a while, right? So you can start with your hands down by your side. Maybe just look up towards the ceiling. And this might be your camel pose for today. If you'd like, you can place your hands on your lower back for a little bit of extra support. Really lift your chest. And this might be enough for today. From here, if it feels good, you can play around with lifting your nose and chin, looking up, or even looking back so that maybe the head drops back. You can stay here or keeping your hands on your back, start to go back a little bit more, increasing the back bend. You can stay here with your hands on your back, or you can reach down for your heels. Maybe grab your heels. But if you can't grab your heels or you have to lean way back to grab them, maybe keep your hands on your lower back so you can keep your hips over your knees. We're going to hold wherever you are for 2 more minutes. With 1 more minute left in the posture, you might find that you can start to go a little deeper, or you might find that after grabbing your heels for a while, it feels good to return your hands to your back, right? Make this your own. We're releasing tension from the front of the body, healing the spine through compression. Our postures do not need to look the same. This is simply an expression of who you are on the inside, an opportunity to let go of some stuff from the front of the body and heal the spine through compression. Holding here for 30 more seconds. If your hands are on your heels, you can start by placing your hands on your lower back. With the help of your hands, slowly uncurl your spine. And at the top, take a moment to really stretch up. Slowly return your hips back down to your heels. And if you'd like to take a counter stretch here, such as a child's pose, reaching your arms forward, or spine twist, or anything else that feels good today, you're welcome to do so. And as you're ready, you can uncurl your mat if you rolled it up. And this time, if you'd like for your puddle pose, right, you can take a puddle pose on your back, or if it feels good, you can take one on your abdomen. So you get a nice little abdominal wall massage here. Maybe if you do choose to be on your abdomen, right, you can bend your elbows out and your hands in and have your forehead on the floor, or you can look to one side so one ear is on the floor. And keep your elbows bent and your hands close to your face, or you can take your arms down by your side, palm facing up. If you are on your abdomen and you're looking to one side, gently lift your head, look to the other side, other ear on your mat. As you're ready, if you're on your back, you're going to roll off to one side and press yourself up. And if you're on your front, you're going to lift your head, look forward, place your hands under your shoulders and press yourself up. Good. Okay. We're going to make our way back onto our seats, back onto our bottoms with your feet facing forward. Good. You can rock your hips out right and left. Sit up tall, roll your shoulders forward and backward. Good. And then take a moment here, point your toes, flex your toes. Maybe move your ankles right and left, or little circles, clockwise and counterclockwise. Good. Okay, great. And then from here, you're going to start to stick your butt out a little bit more. In fact, if it helps, you can take your hands on your butt and kind of pull your flesh out from under you so you're sitting forward on your sit bones. And we're just going to very subtly fold forward here. So I'll show you what it looks like from the side. Depending on your body proportions and mobility, you can have your hands outside of your hips, your thighs, knees, calves, or ankles. Again, folks with long torsos, such as myself, right, might be easy to touch your hands to your feet. You don't need the deepest stretch of all time. Option to keep your back nice and long, shoulders out of the ears, neck long. This is a particularly good option if you have a history of slip discs, or you can fold forward, let your head hang heavy. You might even cross your arms, right, and place your forearms on your shins and drop your head, or even bend your arms and let your chin rest in your head. And we're just getting a subtle stretch here to the hamstrings. And a subtle lengthening to the spine, especially after that big back bend of Camel Pose. We're doing a little forward fold here. Holding here for a total of 3 minutes, and we're already a minute in. Observe where you're holding tension. And let it go. Sometimes I find in a yoga posture, I notice that my shoulders are tense, and so I relax my shoulders, and then I kind of zone out, or my attention goes elsewhere. And then a minute later, I find that my shoulders have tensed again, right? Like many things in life, it's not like relax your shoulders and now your shoulders are relaxed forever, right? It's just this this observation, this awareness, and this constant return to like, right, can I relax my shoulders? Can I loosen my hamstrings? Can I breathe into my body? And when I notice that that tension is crept back in, can I compassionately just relax again? Sort of returning. With about 30 seconds left, you can stay just as you are, or if you'd like to fold forward more, you're welcome to do so. Take an inhale, feel the ribs expand. Exhale in a way that feels good to you. And then you're going to slowly walk yourself up. You can roll yourself back up or come up with a flat back. And you can take any counter stretches you'd like. This is a fun opportunity for a flash dance moment. If you know what I'm talking about, right? You can do that. Any other motions that feel good to your body. And then we're going to turn back onto our backs, puddle pose. Keep your left leg long and straight. Bend your right knee up. Place your left hand on top of your right knee. Take your right arm out to the right, palm faces up. Start to roll to the left so that your right hip stacks on top of left hip. You can have your palm face up, or if it feels better for your right palm to face down, you're welcome to do so. Try to keep the right shoulder down to the floor. You have an option to keep your right top leg bent, or if you'd like, you can kick your right foot out to the left, and that'll stretch the right IT band, the outer thigh. You can have the back of your head on the floor, or you can look over your right shoulder, bringing your right ear down towards the floor. So spine twist, an abdominal wall twist. And if that top leg is straight and to the left, right, we're also working into the outer thigh. If you're looking over your right shoulder, slowly roll your head back to center. If your right leg is kicked out to the left, bend the right knee. Slowly roll your right hip back down to the floor. Right leg down, right arm down. We'll do the other side. Keeping your right leg straight and long, bend your left leg up. Left hand out to the left.
right hand to left knee. You're going to roll to the right so that your left hip stacks on top of right hip, left shoulder on the floor. Option to keep your left knee bent or kick it out to the right, stretching the outer left thigh in IT band, keeping the left shoulder down. Option to have the back of your head on the floor or look over your left shoulder, bringing the left ear down towards the floor. If you're looking over your left shoulder, you can slowly bring your head back to center. If your left leg is kicked out to the right, bend your left knee. As you're ready, roll your left hip down to the floor, left arm down. And for your final puddle pose or final Savasana, right, you can bend your knees with your feet on the floor, knees resting together. You can have your arms and legs straight. Make any shape that feels good to your body. And then just take a nice, easy breath. When we move our body and when we breathe with intention, we don't just change our physiology. I believe like we change our psychology as well. And again, there's more and more, studies, right? Double-blind studies proving ancient knowledge, right, of yoga. And so often I find after a yoga class, like not only am I stretched out physically, but also like I'm a little, I don't know, like emotionally, psychologically, spiritually stretched out as well, right? Like I'm a little bit more calm, a little bit more honest with myself, but like in a compassionate way. Be a little bit more creative, where it's easier for me to articulate what I'm feeling on the inside, and it's easier for me to listen to what it is that I'm feeling on the inside. And sometimes after a yoga class, I don't really do much with that. So once a month, I like to offer 15 minutes of reflection and journaling. If life is taking you elsewhere, you're welcome to show yourself out of the Zoom room. You can also, lie on your back in final Savasana or Puddle Pose and just listen and reflect. Or as you're ready, you can make your way into a seated position, grab pen and paper, maybe a sip of water. And I do find, if you do have pen and paper handy, I find that there's something really powerful about writing things out that have been circulating in our head or in our hearts for a while. And it can be very cathartic just to put it on paper. All right. Awesome. Okay.
So this is our time for journaling and reflection. And the first prompt that I always like to start with are just an opportunity here for you to put pen to paper with some basic truths of your life. It could be, it's getting warmer outside. It could be, I'm frustrated at work. It could be, ooh, my hamstring is really tight right now. But I just invite you into a minute or two here where you can just acknowledge and write out, if it feels good, some truths in your life right now. And notice if you start to assign judgment, like it's good that it's getting warmer, or it's bad that I'm frustrated at work. And instead just write it out kind of without judgment or expectation and see what happens. This is a way to acknowledge where we are in life, again, without putting judgment or value on it, just acknowledging. If at any point a prompt is really speaking to you, you are welcome to follow through with that. Otherwise, I will keep going. And remember that you can always come back to an idea. So next, I'm just going to invite you to write out 20 gratitudes, right? Even on like the hardest, crappiest days, like there's still really cool things about being alive. So I encourage you to write down 20 things, people, places, etc., that you're grateful for. For me, things that always come up are like my family, or Thai food, or candles, or chunky sweaters, right? So just 20 things that you're grateful for. As we reflect on the month that has passed and look to the month to come, what is something that you know now that you didn't know a month ago? What is something that you know now? Could be about yourself, right? Or about a circumstance, could be something you've learned about another person. As we look to the month to come, what is one area of your life that you're curious about? Could be learning something new or deepening a friendship, maybe returning to a hobby that you haven't done in a while. As we look to May, what is something that you're curious about? And as we look to the month ahead, I invite you to think of something that maybe for a while has served you well. It could be a belief or a habit or a relationship. What is something that in the past has served you? Maybe it served you well, maybe frankly it was never that great. But what is something that has served you, that has served a place in your life that in this month ahead you might let go of? Sometimes we want to let go of a habit or a friendship or a limiting belief, and we can be really harsh on ourselves and think, I can't believe I can't let this go, this is so hard. But I encourage you to remember that every habit you have, every relationship you have has helped you survive up until this point. They all serve, people, places, identities, beliefs all serve a purpose in our life. And sometimes they stop serving a purpose. And so this is a way to reframe letting something go while also acknowledging that at some point, right, it was doing something for you, whether it was surviving rather than thriving. What is something in this coming month that you might let go of? And what is something that you might add in its place? When we let go of one thing, we make space for something else. And when we dig into something else, it's an awful lot easier to keep letting go of that thing that no longer serves us. Now, looking back at the basic truths of your current life, the things you're grateful for, the things that you've learned in the past month, the things that you're curious in the month to come, what you might let go of, and what you might dig into. Holding that in your heart or on this piece of paper, invite you to write down or think of a mantra, a word, or a phrase that can help you live out these things in your life. So this is your, again, word, phrase, sentence, mantra for the month of May. This is something that you can simply hold in your heart or keep in your wallet or even put on a Post-it note by your mirror to look at every morning. Particularly if you did write in a journal today, this is something that you can keep for your personal records. This is something that you can post, that you can tear up. You can burn it if you have a fire safe way of burning it. Or again, it can just be something to come back to throughout your month. For the sake of time, I think we'll close, but it's always a joy to be here with you and move and breathe and reflect and know that we're all doing this at once. That's really meaningful for me. And I'm grateful to each of you for giving me the opportunity to be in this community. And just kind of be with one another and be with ourselves. So thank you so much, friends. And I hope to see you soon. Happy Tuesday.